Good afternoon and welcome to Quays News. There are currently no trams running between Manchester Piccadilly and Clayton Hill after a car got stuck on tracks following a police pursuit.
The car became wedged at the New Islington tram stop after allegedly driving onto the platform. Greater Manchester Police have confirmed that 3 people have been arrested.
This is not the only tram disruption today. All Eccles-bound trams were halted this morning during rush hour after a motorbike skidded onto tram lines, one passenger suffering a head injury whilst the biker is thought to be shaken but not injured. Services resumed half an hour later. In 2014, it was announced that Greater Manchester is to get its own directly elected mayor as part of the Manchester devolution deal.
The deal is a £1 billion initiative announced by Chancellor George Osborne. The election date is set for the 4th of May 2017. Inzi Rashid takes a look at the candidates in the running for Greater Manchester Mayor.
In November 2014, Chancellor George Osborne announced Greater Manchester is to have its own citywide mayor. The directly elected candidate will preside over regional issues such as transport, housing, planning and policing. The Chancellor described it as a massive moment for the north of England. The announcement came 2 years after the people of the city voted against having an elected mayor, but the government believes this will create a powerful devolved administration with strong political leadership from May next year. 2 candidates are currently in the running, both members of the Labour Party. Tony Lloyd, the inaugural Greater Manchester Police and Crime Commissioner and interim mayor, as well as long-standing MP for Bury South, Ivan Lewis. Both candidates look to tackle a number of underlying issues within the region. The Manchester-born MP is looking to crack down on equality.
Well, I've said to people that my priority will be fighting inequality, and I'm asking the Labour Party in Greater Manchester to unite behind that new mission, to fight inequality. What do I mean by inequality? Well, if you look at income, paying Greater Manchester lags behind most other parts of the country. If you look at the fact, I believe that Greater Manchester should seek to lead the UK in terms of being a living wage conurbation. If you look at the fact that 1 in 4 children across Greater Manchester grow up living in poverty, that's a scandal and it's something that we must do something about.
You also mentioned that you're going to be standing up to the Tories from day one if you were elected.
Sure.
What do you mean by this?
Well, I won't collude with any privatisation of the NHS, that's the first thing, and will have more responsibility of the NHS and social care system than anywhere else in the country. I also believe that the deal that's been done thus far is not good enough. What do I mean by that? Well, we have no responsibility for school improvement. We have no responsibility for apprenticeships, and yet everybody says our job in Greater Manchester is to create a skills revolution. But we don't have responsibility for school improvement at Greater Manchester level or apprenticeships. I think that's got to change.
In a statement, the interim mayor Tony Lloyd said Greater Manchester needs a figurehead to match Boris Johnson in London and Nicola Sturgeon in Scotland. I can offer that. He added Manchester lacks the voice at the moment to say that we have legitimate demands and legitimate needs. I can offer that voice. My vision is for all of us in Greater Manchester to work together to build the safest communities in Britain.
Many people have described this new role as second to Boris Johnson's in London. It's now up to the Labour Party to decide who they put forward as candidates, and then up to the people here in Manchester to decide who they want as their Greater Manchester Mayor.
Both candidates have a busy time ahead working on party elections and, more importantly, the EU referendum. Once that is out the way, the focus will be on their mayoral campaigns. Inzi Rashid, Quays News.
Today is International Women's Day, which recognises the continued struggle for equal rights and equality for women. Manchester City Council is celebrating the day with the theme of Women's Voices, Changing Manchester. Manchester is known as the birthplace of the suffragette movement, with a house on Nelson Street hosting the first ever meeting of the Women's Social and Political Union in 1903, which called for votes for women.
Manchester Central Library attracts more visitors than the rest of the city's libraries combined. Latest figures show that the recently revamped city centre attraction has doubled its visiting figures in 2015. The ongoing building site around St Peter's Square has not deterred over 1.5 million people from passing through its door.
Trams are now running past the library, but the closest stop will remain closed until autumn of this year. The Central Library reopened in 2014 after a £50 million refurbishment and now accounts for over half of Manchester's library visits.
A Manchester club promoter has come under fire after advertising a hostessing job at his club night, asking for women who are, as he put it, 8 out of 10 and above. Ellie Doward went to find out more.
A unique nightclub experience, but only if you're an 8 out of 10 or above. That is the view of club promoter Johnny Ransom, who posted a tweet advertising a hostessing job at Birdcage for women who fit his rating.
8 out of 10's like a unicorn. It's something beautiful that we all hope to see. I think everybody in the world, to an extent, or in England predominantly, has an idea of what beauty is, and does, although they may not admit it, have an idea of ratings that they'd give somebody. Now, the 8 out of 10 tweet, or the 8 out of 10 part of that, in my tweet was a joke. Like, it clearly wasn't meant as like, you know, 8 out, like I said, 7.9, you don't get in. But it is meant in the way that we're looking for attractive girls.
The tweet offered job applicants free alcohol, money and dancing, and attracted criticism from Manchester Central MP Lucy Powell, who called it offensive, seedy and immature.
The tweet naturally was a little bit jovial, a little bit light-hearted. It wasn't meant as seriously as some may have taken it. I think in a lot of respects, a lot of people saw it like that. Some may not have, obviously, as a result. The newspaper articles got quite into the seriousness of the tweet, which it wasn't meant like that, you know.
Despite the controversy, Johnny remains unapologetic. The tweet seems to have worked in his favour, as he claims he's received a high number of applicants for the hostess role. Let's just hope they're up to his standards. Ellie Doward, Quays News.
The Birthrights collections relaunched yesterday at the University of Salford's Mary Seacole building. The art expedition explores the taboo surrounding children's birth and women's rights for the 8th year, but this time with 11 new pieces.
Voting is now open for the University of Salford Students' Union election. Candidates will be campaigning for 1 week. Voting will close on Thursday at 4 p.m, with the results being announced live at Atmosphere Bar. Jessica Tidswell spoke to the candidates for Arts and Media Officer.
The University of Salford is holding its annual elections this month for students to take on the roles of President, Arts and Media Officer, Business and Law Officer, Health and Social Care Officer and Science and Technology Officer. We went to speak to the Arts and Media candidates to find out more.
Huge discount, or in some cases free, software, textbooks that are a necessity for completing your course. And the beauty this year is, once you've made your vote, you're not then committed to that person. This year is the first year where they're running it where you can change your vote.
It's about raising mental health awareness, and I'd hope to do this, at least at first, with a lecture shout out at the beginning of the year across all campuses.
Constantly open discussion on social media and have a constant dialogue going, where myself as a union officer, the union and the students can all learn from each other so everybody knows what's going on.
I also want to encourage collaboration between creative courses by, there's a lot of like film students that could use drama students or fashion students to help out and a bunch of other stuff like that.
Voting begins today at 9 a.m. and closes next Thursday at 4 p.m. The university encourages everyone to join in and have their say. You can place your vote by accessing Blackboard and the Students' Union or via email.
Vote for me and I will represent you to the best of my ability. Let's get this university on the map. This is the best media university in the country and we want to tell everybody because it is.
More students involved in Media City, more to do with it. Another main thing is timetabling within the faculty, so try and get more better organisation.
For so many wealth of experience to perform and to make people happy, and especially all the students satisfaction. So I'm ready to make sure that it's constructive, welfareism, some kind of a forum for support for every student in the campus.
The election results will be announced at the Atmosphere Bar on Friday the 11th of March at 4 p.m. So be sure to make your vote if you want to make a change to the University of Salford.
Salford University Rugby League Club are on the verge of making history as they aim to win an unprecedented quadruple, with 4 trophies up for grabs in their final 4 games of the season. The team were given a boost yesterday ahead of Wednesday's Cup final when Australian World Cup winning coach and current Salford Red Devils director of rugby, Tim Sheens, visited training. He gave the squad and head coach Mark Williams this advice.
As I said to him, the main thing is just do the little things. You make your own luck. You play each set out. You a good kicking game. The little things that win big games are field position and discipline and just completions, that type of thing. Pretty much exactly what Coach said to them. There's no secret to it, it's just on the day executed.
Yeah, it was a great positive influence on the lads. He actually turned up during vid review and sat in on that and provided a lot of his knowledge and reinforced a lot of what we were working on. And Tim's obviously been around the game a lot longer than ourselves, and Tim's influence and Tim's knowledge was very well received by the lads. I think they really appreciate the effort for Tim to come down and what he provided.
Salford Volleyball Club suffered mixed emotions as their men's and women's team both competed this week. Theo Chicombo has more.
Salford's men's volleyball team struggled in the first set against the University of Manchester. They trailed 25-18 as they headed into the second set. During the second set, they managed to apply pressure and get the score back to 1-1 with a close score of 26-24. Final moments of the thrilling game led it to the fifth set at 2-2. Salford's men began to turn up the heat and eventually won 15-7 against league leaders University of Manchester to reach the final of the cup.
So obviously with both volleyball men's and women's teams getting through to the semi-finals of the cup, we actually gave an extra training session for the last couple of weekends, and they're going to continue to have that for the rest of the term. So luckily we had a slot come available on the weekend, and I asked if they wanted to have it, and they were really excited. And I think having that extra time just to spend with the coach has probably made the difference today. It's fantastic, and I think both the men and the women's really support each other in the game. Like you saw the women's team here supporting the men's, a lot of the men's are staying behind. So I think it's great, that kind of a real one club feeling. It's not kind of segregated in terms of a men's and a women's team, and again it just shows the strength between both the men's and women's sides here at Salford, that we've got a really good and upcoming volleyball club which has only really been running for 2 to 4 years. It's a relatively new club, so for one to already have made the final, hopefully have another one after the women's match this afternoon, it'd be huge for Salford Volleyball Club.
We play against them all the time, but it was quite exciting to win, obviously, but we didn't play our best today, so it's a good win, but it's not a win that I'm satisfied with as a captain. I know we could do well. Our coach, without him, we probably wouldn't be winning this game or even one set, but he pulled us through. But it's great. It's great for uni that we get recognition, and the guys are super excited to be in the finals now, and we're gonna cheer for the girls today. Hopefully they'll win, and we both be finalists.
Top of the league, Salford's women took on Sheffield Hallam in their semi-final match. They started off strong and competed well against the opposition. In the end, they did not have enough quality and lost 3-1 in the final set. It was a day that history was made, with both men and women qualifying for the semi-final. Can the Salford's men's volleyball team now go on and win the final? Theo Chicombo, Quays News.
And now for the weather forecast. Molly Marsden, what's the forecast, rain or shine?
Well, let's hope there's no snow on the way. Well, it's a cloudy start to the day with a mixture of rain, sleet and snow across the northwest. Throughout the afternoon, skies will begin to clear with sunny spells developing. Expect more rain in the evening, which will be more heavy at times. Going into tomorrow, the wet weather will continue throughout the most of the day, with gusty winds developing. This should calm down by the afternoon. Over the week, the weather will be mostly settled with generally cloudy skies and the odd spell of sunshine. Surprise, surprise, there will be more rain, but temperatures will be milder than we recently experienced. Over to you, Lewis.
So, nearly spring, but not quite there yet.
Not yet.
So, that's all for Quays News today. As ever, you can see more on our website, quaysnews.net. You can also find us on Twitter, @QuaysNews.
We will be back with the Quays News Space Special on Friday at 1:30, where we interview former NASA astronaut Don Thomas about his time in space. We will also discuss Tim Peake's journey, which reaches the halfway point on the International Space Station. That's it for this week. Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.